There is no shortage of superhero TV shows and movies. They've been mass produced more than copies of the Bible, so it's not surprising that in terms of quality, they're a dime a dozen. They're very hit or miss. And the superhero show I'm talking about today is Jupiter's Legacy, the $200 million show that I'm sure you've never heard about before, because I hadn't heard of this thing until about a week ago when some random person tweeted about it. And that right there should speak volumes to how this show was received, because I went and watched it, and I can tell you one thing, it's nothing special. It's not going to have you blowing loads or anything. You watch it, you sit down to watch it, and then as soon as you turn it off, it feels like you've been hit in the face with that Men in Black mind erasinator thing. You just forget all about it. So just in case you came here for the quick and short of this thing, you seen the title, you clicked on it, you wanted to know what the show was, here's a recommendation. It's not horrible, but it's not amazing. You can spend your time doing much better things. Honestly, I think picking up crochet as a hobby would be more interesting than watching this show. So now with that out of the way, I'm going to get into spoiler territory now. So if you do plan on watching this, go ahead, plug your ears, or just click off the video, because we're getting into spoiler-infested waters. So first and foremost, I want to reiterate, the budget for this show was $200 million. That's two followed by a lot of zeros. Just to put that in perspective so you can get a grasp on how big that actually is, if you wanted to put that into hot dogs, that's about 44,943,820.22 hot dogs. That's a heck of a lot of hot dogs. But not only did they put a similar amount of money to Drake's net worth into this show, immediately after season 1, they canned it. They pumped all this buku bucks of money into it, only to put it on the chopping block and cancel the show a month after it released. Which leads me to a theory about Netflix laundering money, but I'm not going to get into this in this video. I'm going to actually talk about the show. So the show, it mainly revolves around this superhero family. Very stereotypical. I know this show is full of stereotypes. I'm going to rant about that in a minute. But anyways, this is the picture here. This is your main family, the core four, if you will. You got the dad, who is the utopian. He's like Superman, pretty much. And then you got the mom, whose name I don't remember. I don't remember any of the names from this show because everybody is forgettable. You got the son. I think his name is Brandon. And then the daughter, who's like the rebel, the one who doesn't listen to the family. She's going off to do her own thing because she's a rebel. And I don't remember her name either. Let me actually look at the names. You got Chloe. Her name's Chloe, the rebel daughter. Brandon. I was right about Brandon. The mom's name is Grace. And then the utopian's name, Sheldon. His name is Sheldon. And there are some more characters, some side characters, like the utopian. Sheldon has a brother. I don't remember his name either, but he has like mind powers. And there's also like this Justice League thing going on. They got some other superheroes that are friends with them and help them fight crime. And they got some big bad, what is his name? Dark something. And he looks like a nutsack. He's like the big bad supervillain in the first episode that got locked up, but then escapes, but didn't really escape. This show is just so convoluted, and I'm going to be upfront, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I didn't watch the whole thing. There's 8 episodes in the first season, well, the only season, and I watched 4 because I couldn't watch past 4. I kept falling asleep towards the end of episode 4, and if I'm wanting to go to sleep rather than watch a show, that's a good sign that I'm just not interested in the slightest. But luckily for you, before I fell asleep, I wrote down some talking points about the show, so some of them might be incoherent because I was kind of dozing off while I was writing this stuff. So the first point I wrote down is that the show is so stereotypical, and oh boy, it has pretty much every single superhero stereotype you can imagine. You got the dad who's like Superman. You got the family of superheroes. The one rebellious sibling that goes off and does their own thing, doesn't want to listen to the superhero dad. And on top of that, you have the superheroes who have a code that they can't break. And that code is, you don't kill ever. You lock them up and bring them to justice. That way they can learn. It's just such a fairy tale little way to go about it, because I forgot to mention, they're taking like an adult grounded take on this little superhero thing. So they make it gory and they throw some curse words in there, but it's not like The Boys. Actions don't really have consequences, and it's not super realistic because the characters, they don't have massive egos like they would in the real world because humans are terrible. It's like they tried to go for the adult take by dipping their toes in the waters to test it out, but they didn't fully commit, which just kind of ruins it. And at this point, if you're not doing at least a couple new things in a superhero show, it's just not going to be enjoyable. Because going back to the whole code thing of them not killing people, if you're going to do an adult take on a superhero show, you can't have the fairy tale, don't kill them, bring them into justice, it works every single time until they break out of jail and kill some more people. That doesn't work. If you want to get rid of the problem, you got to kill someone. And that happens in the show. The son Brandon kills the big bad dude who's about to kill his dad and also just killed his friends. And his dad gets mad at him for killing the bad dude because he was about to kill everyone else. He says, "You never kill anybody. That's what ruins everything. We have to stay by the code that I created." And it's just so stupid. Like, you don't live in fairy tale land. This isn't a children's superhero show. Everything doesn't work out for the good guys in the end. If you're doing an adult take on it, you gotta make the themes more adult. You gotta make those hard decisions. You gotta kill people. You gotta get your hands dirty. Because if the villains are willing to kill people and wipe out everything, you're going to have to kill them or they're not going to stop until they kill you. That was just a huge pet peeve of mine because I just don't understand why they made the dad so just eager about this code like he's Batman. Thou shalt not kill, following the 10 commandments of being a superhero. It does not apply. If you want to solve the issue, locking them up in pretty much Arkham Asylum is not going to do anything. They're going to break back out and kill more people, and it's going to be your fault because you didn't put an end to them when you could have. And you could argue that that was what they were going for. They were trying to make it seem like the code doesn't work and the son had to break it or whatever, but I still think it's dumb that they implemented that in the first place. But anyways, that's all I gotta say really about the stereotype thing. There's many, many more I could pick on and poke at, but it's just better if I just say the show is every single superhero stereotype you can think of, balled up into one and not done in an amazing way. But that's not to say the show was horrible. If I had to give it a rating, I would give it like a 6 out of 10. It's nothing special, but it's definitely watchable. Now on to the next part, which I said was the goofiest part of this story, and that is that the Utopian, the dad, aka Superman pretty much, is religious. Someone with the powers of a god is a Christian. He is religious. He makes them pray and hold hands, pray to Jesus, say grace over their food before they eat, and it just doesn't make sense to me. Why is the main character dude religious? Why is he a Christian? Like, it doesn't really bother me per se, but it's like such a strange thing to put into the show. Like, sure, he could have been religious before he got his powers because there is this whole little origin story they give you. I didn't really watch all of it because I didn't finish the series, but they were leading up to an origin story where they go to this island and that's how they get all their powers and he becomes the Utopian and whatnot. But still, even if he was a Christian before all this, surely after you get the powers to literally fly up to the moon, punch someone's head off, throw a car, you gotta think that maybe God doesn't exist. That's just me talking out loud though. That's not really an important part of the show whatsoever. Just something that I caught on and just held on to for some reason. I just thought it was very strange and very odd because that's never been done. Gotta give them creativity points, I guess. They did something original in the sense that I can't think of any other super powerful ultra hopper being a Christian. I actually wrote down a specific timestamp at the end of episode 2 that I wanted to show you that I thought was just downright pretty silly to watch.
Gather your crew.
Sheldon.
Sail to the island and save America.
I just thought that part was so unbelievably wacky. Sail to the island, gather your crew, save America. But yeah, pretty much that's about it. That's all I really wanted to talk about. I didn't want to do like an episode by episode breakdown or give you the lore, tell you everything that's going on. I just wanted to ramble and rant about some points I had in my brain. about why I just really didn't enjoy this show. The only reason I watched it is because I seen a tweet saying how it was a $200 million budget show, and I'd never heard of it before. So I wanted to see if it had anything special in store, and no, not really. Even for $200 million budget, the visuals weren't all that spectacular, really. Like, The Boys had a budget of about 80 million for the first season, and I think it looks many times better. My camera just cut off, but as I was saying, I think The Boys just looks leaps and bounds better. And also, it does the whole adult, realistic, grounded superhero story far better than Jupiter's Legacy does, as well as Invincible. That's another example of doing a superhero tale in a way that's original, new, and actually enjoyable to watch. This show honestly just feels stale. It's like you got a cracker out of the cabinet and you bit into it and you're like, tastes like cardboard. But I guess I could finish the whole thing if I really wanted to, but I don't really want to, so I'm just going to throw it away. That's exactly how I feel about this show. So watch it if you want to, don't watch it if you don't want to. Doesn't bother me in the slightest.